Okay, part two. I don't remember what I was talking about. Seems like I was talking about airports, and that's way off the topic. So, trying to stay on topic with nursing stuff. So, you know, this is really the second surge of the COVID virus. Seems like it's worse than the first one. And during the first one, if you recall, there was a lot of um, people that had brought food for the nurses, and it was all fun, and that was a very common thing to see happen the first, 2 months or so, and then everything calmed down, and then the second surge happened, and it was like the food wasn't coming anymore. Um, and the nurses and I were talking about it. How, hey, what happened? Hey, dude, where's the food at? Where's the beef? Uh, and, and I guess word got around that the nurses were hungry because food just started coming, and from different places. One place I want to specifically mention is Veterans United. They're a home refinance company, and they have fed us so many times, and just and families of patients also have brought in food, either made us cookies or have gotten food from a restaurant delivered to us. And we're not a bunch of uh, well, yeah, we probably are a lot of foodies. There's a lot of foodies among us, but uh, I don't know. It just kind of it makes a difference to us when someone brings treats. It kind of makes us feel appreciated. And this isn't a plug or a plead for more food. I mean, we all have good jobs. We're not hungry at home. There's groceries at home, and I admit that I have sometimes brought my own lunch and ended up eating whatever was brought in. Because there's a sense of camaraderie of everyone's eating the same thing. And what did you get? I got the fish. I got the chicken, and we talk about it, and it's just fun. I guess it's just satisfying the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You gotta eat. You got to eat. So thank you for everyone who has brought food. And if you have a mind to bring food to us, you will not be turned away at the door. You won't be let past the door, but the front desk will take the food and will thank you very much, and we will be very appreciative of it. Um, but even if it doesn't come, that's okay. So I don't know if there's not that much more to share. Just as far as status update, we're just kind of staying the course. Uh, the last couple of days I've worked, it didn't feel like there were as many COVID patients, but that's only because I was in the a certain part of the ICU. We're a 32 bed unit, mixed ICU. So in our ICU we have microphone. We have surgical patients uh, who come in and have needed some kind of surgery, like specifically um, cardiac surgery. So they've had, valve repairs or aortic aneurysm repairs, vascular repair to reestablish blood flow um, down to their feet or other places. They're surgery patients. Well, we're trying to be very careful not to put COVID patients amongst those rooms that have surgery patients, because for one, those patients are already in a weakened state, but they also have large wounds and are vulnerable to infection. And so we're just trying to keep the area where they are as clean as possible, and that means, if at all possible, not placing COVID patients near them. Whereas last week and the weeks before, I had a COVID patient every day. And as far as my routine at work, If I have a COVID patient or two COVID patients, I shower at the hospital. We're allowed to wear hospital scrubs. So many of us wear the light blue scrubs. And for me, at the end of my shift, I shower and change into new scrubs. And I wear the new scrubs home. And when I get home, I take those off and I put them aside to be worn the next time I go in. And then it just kind of happens all over again. So it keeps me from from needlessly accumulating scrubs, hospital scrubs. They're not mine. They belong in the hospital. And I just don't want to bring COVID home to my kids. At the beginning of the COVID stuff back in January, February of 2020, I did put a note out there on Facebook on a specific Facebook page that was set up for healthcare providers and RV owners who are willing to lend out their RVs. Well, on this page, the one specifically I joined was called RVs for MDs, but it wasn't just for MDs, it was for any healthcare provider. You put a note out there, hey, I'm in Columbia, Missouri. I sure would like to borrow an RV. If you've got one, you can lend. Well, tens of thousands of healthcare providers, workers in this country have done this. They've either borrowed an RV or lent out an RV, and it's just a beautiful thing. For me specifically, at the beginning of all this COVID mess, back in January/February, I got on his Facebook page and I put a note out there saying this is where I live and I'd like to borrow an RV. And within hours, a gentleman from Kirksville who is 2 hours north of me contacted me and said that he would bring his RV and park it in my driveway for me, set it up, and that I could have it as long as I wanted. And that was amazing to me. And so it sat in my driveway. The neighbors never gave me a stink eye about it. I live in a pretty nice neighborhood, and it's not the kind of neighborhood you see RVs parked down the street or in the driveways for extended periods of time. My neighbors who were closest to me called it the COVID camper. So they were very nice about it. But the idea is that, I would go to work, come home. If I had COVID patients, I would go not into my house, but into the RV and shower and change and then sleep in there and then go to work the next day. That worked out pretty good, although I didn't use the RV as much at the time because I was working a nurse practitioner position. I'm a nurse practitioner. RNs are every nurse practitioner is an RN, in case you don't know. And if there's an RN who goes back to graduate school, they can get their master's in any number of things, education or research, or they can be a nurse practitioner in a number of fields: pediatrics, gerontology, acute care, family practice. I happen to be a family practice nurse practitioner. So at the time, back in January, February, I was working in a family as a neurology hospitalist. So I wasn't coming face to face with patients at the time. And I didn't know that it would be like this. So when I asked for the RV, but it turned out to be that way, and that's why I didn't really need the RV. I didn't use it as much as I thought I would. So I called John, the RV owner, and said, "Hey, you can come get your RV." He left it with me. It feels like, March, April, May, June, July, August, 5 or 6 months, and there really were no questions asked when he brought it. Of course, I gave him my. He was able to find me by Googling me very easily and see that I'm a nurse practitioner. And there aren't very many hoodlum nurse practitioners running around, So I was trustable, and but he didn't give me any paperwork to sign to say, "Hey, you're liable if I don't get it back in pristine condition" or anything like that. I did have it professionally cleaned, and took very good care of it as if it was my own. That was just really amazing. And if you're a healthcare provider and haven't thought about doing that, that might be a good thing to do. But for me, what has worked is I just shower at the hospital. I'm very careful at work. I wear an N95 mask with everyone because even though a patient may test negative, they may not have developed enough of a volume of the virus in their system to show up positive on a test. So their viral load may not be high enough. So we do have patients who are COVID negative, but I just assume that everyone is COVID positive. And for me, personally, that is my way of keeping my family safe. Because it is possible to contract COVID from a patient who was supposedly COVID negative. They turned out to be COVID positive because there are false negatives. So, so I'm very careful with hand hygiene. I'm careful with taking off my astronaut suit, bleaching it every time, bleaching the tubing from this PAPR system that I use. It's kind of a self-contained air blower, and you wear this mask and it fits. It's got elastic around your face here, and a clear shield in front, and kind of a plasticky, clothy type material that is breathable but will not allow moisture or air particles to come in. I don't know to what millimeter, but there's a pipe at the back that comes down and attaches to a machine that you wear around your waist, and this machine blows air into that space around your face. And so the idea is that when you walk into a COVID room and you've got this machine blowing, it's kind of a positive pressure, so it blows air into the space, and that is the air that you breathe. The air escapes slightly outside, through the elastic. It's not airtight at all, but you're not breathing in the room air that the COVID patient is breathing, and that's how you're protected. So I wear one of those at home, take a shower at work, and then I'm clean on the way home. Yeah, and that's what for me and my kids have, no one's gotten COVID here, and we're also very careful who we spend time with. I would have no qualms spending time with the nurses I work with, because we all get our temperatures checked, and we're all very careful about hygiene, and none of us want to take COVID home to our patients, so to our families. So I'm very careful about that. I'm very proud to be a nurse. I was speaking earlier in the first video about how, there's some people who sometimes are not appreciative of what we do, and I guess you'll always have those outliers where you just can't please everyone all the time, and no matter how. And there's also, you have to keep in mind that the person that's doing the criticizing is in pain. They're having some emotional pain that's causing them to treat you that way, and you just have to understand that and just kind of suck it up and drive on. That's just going to happen. But for the most part, I want to mention, we do get a lot of thanks. We get thanks from people, and it doesn't take a lot to show appreciation. You don't have to cook. You don't have to make cookies or order food from a restaurant. Probably what means more to us is just showing that you appreciate us as nurses, and we do get that, and that's why a lot of us stay, because the work we do is hard. And I want to encourage all my fellow nurses out there. There's some nurses that I work with personally. I'm so proud to be part of the team at work. I consider everyone family. Those are my brothers and sisters out there in the trenches with me. And we support each other, and we laugh together. And nurses have such a sick sense of humor. Sick, I tell you, sick. but I love it. It's a way of coping. I'm not sure that the general public would understand that. Certainly nurses would understand that. But, we laugh together. We support each other. And there's not a better group of people I've ever worked with than the nurses that I work with at Boone Hospital. I'm not surprised. It's a magnet facility. I think it's 3 years running, which is a very hard thing to get. A magnet facility is a hospital basically that treats its nurses well, and the nurses are happy in a facility. And when nurses are happy, the patients are happy. And I'm not just talking about paying the nurses well, because there's a variety of pay grades depending on your experience. So you cannot look at you cannot say, oh, this is a magnet facility because they pay their nurses very well. I think that every facility differs, and every individual nurse gets something different depending on their experience. It's just the quality. I'm telling you, it's a smaller hospital. The quality of the people that I work with is just superb. And I would trust any of them with my life. I would trust them with my children. And I'm just proud to be a part of this organization. I hope you guys have a good evening. Happy New Year. This is December 31st. Only 4 hours left in 2020. And that feels like it's going to be a fresh start. But you know what? Really, tomorrow, we're going to have the same issues that we have today, that we had last month. COVID's still going to be here. People are still going to get sick. We just have to stick together and support each other. Yeah. So, you guys stay safe. Bye.